So, we're not a political podcast by any means. We don't usually talk politics, and this is not really going to be a political talk per se. But if you live in Ontario, you, like the rest of us, were put back into lockdown, quote unquote, I guess we'll call it. We'll be back in there, Saturday, I think it locks down. This is getting ridiculous. I don't really talk about this much, and I figured I have somewhere to speak and vent. So I figured I'd vent to you and the however many listeners decide to listen in on this. Like, at what point does the federal government step in and be like, you guys are fucking up every single decision you've made so far, and do something differently? Like, I get the lockdown, and I get putting us back in lockdown. I understand your reasoning why, but why is this still not a actual lockdown? Why are we still here pretending like, oh, we'll just be fine for a couple weeks, half-ass lockdown, shut down a couple things here and there, and that's it? Like, it's getting embarrassing at this point.
I kind of wish they would change the name from the gray zone to the danger zone, so we could at least sing about it. We could at least have
yeah, absolutely. It's
we're back in the danger zone. And then I feel like people will be a little more.
That's what this is at this point, realistically, is the danger zone, because we're not fixing anything. We're still allowed to go. Like, you and I can go hang out at Marshall's right now if we wanted to. I don't know why, but we can go because there's still a 25% capacity. Now, we can't go get lunch because I
can't go to your house.
You can't come to my house, but we can hang out at Walmart. No problem. Just chill at Walmart. Maybe hang out in the electronics section. Who knows? Look at some.
You and I want to go get pants together? We can go get pants together.
We can go shop for pants all day long.
We can't podcast together. It's a little backwards, I'm not going to lie. I don't understand it.
We can't sit across the same room and podcast each other.
I think part of it is, we don't generate the same kind of money sitting at home as we do out there.
But, at this point, I'm back out of a job. So, there's people that are back losing jobs for zero reason because now we're just at this point where, you know what, we'll half-ass lock this down. We're not going to actually get any cases down here. You'll get a brief little blip where it goes back down, and back up you go when everything opens back up again because everyone's still out and about. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm kind of getting real sick of it because, I used to defend Doug Ford. I thought he was doing an okay job at the beginning of his tenure. I know it's a two different sides of that argument because a lot of people hated what he did, and I get it. But, I don't see anything defensible about this idiot anymore, and I'm kind of getting real sick and tired of doing this whole back and forth bullshit. Just admit you don't have any competency here, and you're just going by the seat of your pants because the rules change every 10 minutes, and it's just I don't know what to do anymore. It's fucking stupid. But we can golf.
One of the industries that suffered the most actually is the salon industry.
Yeah,
going to the barbershops and stuff, and it's funny because when you see Doug Ford get up there, his hair's looking pretty nice.
Yeah, someone's cutting his hair for sure.
He's got,
And this man's going to go
over. Dude, I had to cut my own. I had a Britney moment where I was like, this is gone. This is too much right now. I had such long hair for almost a year. Yeah, it was long.
Brandon alone.
Dude, this is what I got. I knew that I wore hats, so I was like, let's just get it as close to I can to the wood, and that's it.
My favorite quote from him so far was when he was just like, I'm shocked that the cases are going back up. It's like, buddy, I've nearly failed biology in high school, and I could have told you that the cases were going to go back up the way you did this. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
I think to me, I was shocked driving through, where I live, right down the main street there. There's people actually protesting, and it just didn't make sense.
No.
To me, but that's what it's come to, right?
I get it. You have to at this point, realistically. As stupid as it is, and I don't agree with protests usually ever, but at this point, nothing's gonna get done unless you do. So what the fuck's the point? I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's getting stupid.
It just feels like we're going in circles. We're not closer, but
exactly. That's just it. We chirped the United States so much for what they did and the way they handled everything, but realistically, There's a game in Texas going on next week that's going to have 100% capacity at their stadium. There's nearly every single major league team right now has at least 20% in their thing, and their cases are lower than us for the most part in each state. It's ridiculous.
They also understand the United States makes money off their health system, so more cases the better.
Yeah. Yep. No, exactly. But they're rolling out vaccines a hell of a lot better than we are. They locked down better than we are. They opened up better than we are.
Care.
Like, we chirp them all we want.
But they seem to
killed a
have
lot
the
of people.
same-
They killed a lot of people, and it was bad. But they're also opening quicker and getting shit back together a lot quicker than we are, too. So you got to give them a little bit of credit for that. Ridiculous. Anyways, baseball fans, it's opening day, baby. Or was opening day, baby. We're back. Baseball's back. We had a full slate of games yesterday and a whole lot of nothing today for the most part. I'm just going to wear the sunglasses just because it's...
I mean, there's some things happening. Yeah, it's always shady in doucheville, man.
Yeah,
so.
you have to do... I need to look the most like Bo Bichette, Lourdes Gurriel looking thing I can do for the first little bit because it's more fun.
I was going to say, you're a nice cross between the two, actually. You've
the
taken
hair.
that whole maybe left side, whole left side of the diamond. Even throw some Cavan in there. You're the whole.
I got the ears of
field.
Cavan too. Like I think I could be a full combination of all three ball players without any of the talent. Pretty wicked.
You know what sucks is that we're not even gearing up to go anytime soon.
No, I'm gonna dress like this at home for the
because
rest
that's
of the
something
year.
that you and I would be doing. Is that we would be there like almost right away.
I probably would have been there yesterday, or I guess not yesterday because it's not their home opening yet. But next week when they go home, probably would have went. I genuinely looked into like flights to be like, hey, I wonder what it would cost if we just decided to go, but it's not worth it. So, yeah.
It's not worth it to me.
The Jays opened up yesterday with a 3-2 thriller against the Yankees. Took them into extra innings. They beat Garrett Cole, of all people. Garrett Cole, not typically a guy known for losing. Maybe now because of the quote-unquote sticky situation is a little bit under wraps. But, yeah, the Jays look good. The pitching, Hyun-Jin Ryu started out great. Gave up that one home run to Gary Sanchez, which Gary Sanchez is either going to hit a home run or he's going to strike out 17 straight at-bats. So it's not really surprising that he takes you deep. But, yeah, pitching was good. Defense was great. Marcus Semien made a phenomenal play at second base. Looked way better than what last year's defense did.
I think you got to give Vlad some credit on that too. If that's the one in the seventh where he kind of reaches over,
yeah.
He gets over from the bag to stretch and make that play. You know, I noticed that too. And going back to Ryu, man, after he got kind of burned in the second there, you know, after those mistakes, that was it. Like he cruised until he was out of the game and looked really solid, especially against a pretty dangerous Yankees lineup, right?
Dude, they shut them down.
That's supposed to be the
realistically,
game
apart from two moments in that game, like the Yankees really couldn't get anything going, and the defense stifled them, the pitching stifled them. I mean, they had that David Phelps inning where he loads the bases up, and like shout out to Montoyo for not pulling him and like making the rash decision, because like when that happened and he loaded the bases, I'm like, you got to go to the pen here, and he just decided, no, we're good, we'll let him roll. And David Phelps makes a great pitch, gets the double play, boom, you're out of it. And then you come in. There's so many aspects of this game to break down. I don't really know where to start with it. But like the bullpen in general, like you had the Phelps inning, and then Dolis gets a guy on, but he just dominates after that. And then Romano, who should be the closer of this team realistically, looked dicey, I'd say. He looked great when he was on, and he looked sketchy when he was off. But he gets the runner on third with one out and ends up getting out of the inning on a great ground ball to Cavan, where he makes a great defensive play with Jano back there. They just look good in a lot of aspects of the game last night, and it's a really cool sign coming up against a game against Garrett Cole.
I think one of my favorite parts too was Romano cocked back, 97-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle of the Judge, and just said, "Hey, here you are," right? Like, and that shows confidence in it. Yeah, the bullpen definitely looked. To me, it was a little more average at times. Like you said, they got into trouble, but they were able to get themselves out, and
they weren't. You can't call them. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but to me, even the biggest shock was like Springer wasn't in that game, and there was still so many highlights from the offensive side of that game. Realistically, right? Like it's a 3-2 game. I get that, but it wasn't like you were just swinging and missing and everything to me, right? Like a lot of it, Garrett Cole had low and away. Garrett Cole was painting. If he wanted it, he had it.
Yep. He was pitching well.
That ump had no consistency behind home plate, though, man. There was the Jansen strikeout that wasn't close, and I think Gleyber Torres for the Yankees, once again, pitch that wasn't close, shouldn't have been there. But anyways, but even still, they were fighting back against Cole. They were fighting back against, late in the game too when Cole was out, and
they were down 2-1 in a start against Garrett Cole, and like usually he's pretty money in those situations, and it's it's one of those things. They just battled back, and he gave up one mistake to Oscar Hernandez, and he took it further than anyone other than Byron Buxton did yesterday. Just hit an absolute moonshot to left, and it just got him back into the game, and they just did enough to get the win. And I think as you can't really call the bullpen dominant per se, but when they were on, they were dominating, because even Romano, like, he was throwing 97 with movement just up and in on guys that they couldn't touch. And he was mixing his pitch as well. He just had a little bit of command issues and let Tauchman steal second and third. That wasn't pretty, but you can work on that. You can fix that type of stuff. But, like, they were just overpowering. And then you get to a guy like Julian Merriweather, and oh boy, did he look good. A kid.
I was listening to that on the radio, and it sounded good. Dude, every pitch was right there, it seemed.
Every pitch that he threw, I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Just like something different every time. So the craziest thing is I watched the game back today, and at the time, so I watched it just to see what his whole mix-up was and how the way he makes his pitches. So he starts seeing off with a 97-mile-an-hour four-seamer, which was actually his slowest four-seamer of the inning. Then he throws a 80-mile-an-hour changeup and then a 79-mile-an-hour changeup to get Giancarlo Stanton, I think it was. No, Aaron Hicks was first. So he strikes out Aaron Hicks on two straight changeups after humming a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Then he goes into Stanton next at bat, two straight sliders at 87 and 88, and then he drops that. They say it was a four-seam. That thing had way too much movement to be a four-seam, but 99-mile-an-hour four-seam fastball up and in that Stanton just couldn't even touch. And then you go to Glaber, I think was next. You throw an 88-mile-an-hour slider, 99-mile-an-hour four-seam, 89-mile-an-hour slider, and then back-to-back 99-mile-an-hour heaters to just finish the kid off. Just in almost an immaculate inning. Like, he was one pitch away from it, and just domination from a kid that they got in that Josh Donaldson deal, and it was a little questionable, I would say, back when they made the deal. But if he continues to do that, I'm here for it all day.
Dude, having the ability to drop almost 17 miles per hour on average from one pitch to the 20. Next is going to be gross, right? That's unreal. And then even the slider, I was upset to hear him bounce it in the dirt on the ninth pitch. Yeah, and I think he just kind of he hooked it too hard. He knew it
was there. I think was the thing is he was going for it. He's like, I'm gonna throw the nastiest slider and get him with it.
I think part of me, even if you go slider or changeup in that point, because the last two guys you put down on big heaters, they're kind of sitting that, right? Yeah. A lot of people are sitting fastball now, and that's the big worry. But that's the big worry, is that can you locate everything else? Because hitters are good enough that if they get fastball even a little later, they're able to bring their hips around, swing the bat through enough to just get contact and
they just put a bat on the ball, right? And when those guys put a bat on it, it's going far. Like, it's not they're pretty good hitters. They can hit the ball a long way. So I mean, he did great. I mean, outside of the one pitch that doesn't go anywhere near the strike zone, he was phenomenal. It looks a lot better in that trade now that you're getting this kid to produce at the major league level. Now
that was his first save since being with the Indians, I think, in their affiliate. He has never been in a save opportunity before, except
that's the thing is he's a starter. He should be a starter, and I understand why everyone would want to continue making him a starter. But I'm starting to lean towards the side of if we have all these young bullpen arms, or the young arms in general, they can't all be starters. And I don't want to see any of them walk away. So why not groom some of these guys into this type of role where you can have Julian Merriweather for late inning opportunities, and he steps in there and throws 99 and just gets guys out because he's going all in. It's the same with Ryan Baracki. It could be the same with Trent Thornton if you start using him in that role. Anthony Kay is a little bit different, but you have guys coming up like Woods Richardson and Alek Manoah and things like that. And I understand their value is higher as a starter, but I'm not opposed to seeing them in the back of the bullpen where they're still doing damage.
I think if you're able to flex also into a starting spot is good too, right? We've seen when the Jays have been in situations that they've had to go to their bullpen and spot start them. And, Joe Biagini was supposed to be stretched out to be a starter and
did not work.
That was it, right? You're laughing at that, but that was true. They tried their best to make him a starter, right?
They thought forever that kid was
Merriweather, someone like that to come in. Right. So it's totally cool to see these guys in the bullpen and figuring out the MLB. And it's kind of what I said in an earlier podcast, right? Just give them experience and figure out how to then make that experience of pitching last longer innings, right? Mm-hmm. If that's what you need to do, if that's the adjustment you need to make, I think that's a little easier than trying to figure out all of that in one go, right? If you kind of know how to pitch, and you know how to pitch these MLB hitters, and then you go, okay, I need to do that over 5-6 innings now. That's a little easier than saying I need to figure out how to play 6 innings and pitch to these guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. I really hope he sticks in that role until things get dicey. You could always spot start him if you need, like you said. Like they're already in a situation where TJ Zoik is going to have to pitch innings for this team because of Robbie Ray's injury and Nate Pearson's injury and stuff like that. So like it's fine to have them take those opportunities if they show up, but like I do not mind them throwing 99 gas at the back of our bullpen. It's fine.
That's what you need, right? If you look at some of the best closers, that's what they've done. Is they've come in and they're able to not only elevate and like get ridiculous speed on their fastballs, but then have a secondary pitch that either moves or is a lot slower and just fools everybody, right?
Yep, for sure. Fun thing about last night is at the top of the order, being 1, 2, 3 was Semien, Cavan, and Bo. They were 0 for 14 on the night, and the team still got it done. This team is going to be lethal with their depth this year. Like, you're getting your game-winning RBI and extra innings from Randall Grichuk in the 8 slot. Like, oof. That's if you get those top 3 guys hitting.
Like, they were able to do so much from the bottom of that rotate, like the bottom of that hitting order. And especially with the rules of having that guy on second, I think Jonathan Davis came in and was able to pinch run, which, the Yankees weren't able to do that. They had Aaron Judge running. And Aaron Judge is not going to be the fastest runner out there. So you knew that, it has to be a pretty deep ball.
You got to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a little more flexibility there and a little less worry of, okay, if this thing is absolutely, if this thing's dribbled in, then no way. He's not getting home. You've got good arms out there and you've already taken advantage. You have the lead too, so you can afford to be a little more.
Yeah. And the thing there too is like you have the dynamic ability where you have a lot of guys that can play multiple positions. And if you need be, you can move guys around to try and make things work. So like if you come into a situation where it's like, say Rowdy's on second and he's the first baseman, you can rotate guys around to put JD in the game and still not have to worry about shaking up the defense too much. Like you can make that defensive switch because you can move pretty much anybody in infield anywhere they want and you wouldn't have any issues with it. Like it's just the lineup top to bottom is just so well put together right now that like even when guys have an off night like you did with the 3 of them at the top there, you're still going to produce because you have these guys at the bottom that are bona fide major leaguers and they're going to do their job. It just works out real well for this team, and it's going to be so much more fun when Springer comes back.
I know. What was great, too, is their first run came from 3 consecutive hits, I'm pretty sure. Like, they hit 3 in a row. Like, they had just kept moving the order along, and it looked really positive, especially for a first game against the Yankees team, right?
Yeah.
Like, Yankees are going to hit that. They're designed to hit bombs. They're designed to also hit well in certain parts of their order, but you're showing that you can compete with them and shut them down and not give them opportunities after you kind of have a little blip, right? Like besides that Gary Sanchez bomb,
I was not worried.
Where were you most?
Maybe that bases loaded situation with Phelps.
David Phelps comes in, but dude, the funniest thing about that is Dan Shulman comes in and goes, "Hey, we need a double play," and right away he throws the pitch, gets it.
Perfect.
And I laughed so hard because he was like, here's what they need, and it happened.
They made it happen. Like it's.
If that's going to be the Jays season, then good, because I know that if a ball is hit in the infield and it's a scrambled play, these guys are going to make it.
For sure.
That's exactly what you want, right? It shows shades of not as good, obviously, but when you had Donaldson and Tulo
and Goins,
the rest of absolutely, and Goins out there, like Goins made a name for himself being defensive, not because he get hit.
Wizard defensively, couldn't do anything
but else. Defensively, you knew if it came to him, they would turn in 2 always. They could turn 3 probably if they needed.
Yep.
It was ridiculous.
Now, I'm hyped, and it was a great first game. Now we're probably looking at TJ's Mike tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that we need to bring out the parade right now.
No, I think they look great, and I think there's a lot of really positive things to take away. And I think the bullpen is one of them. Like I think the bullpen was really good in that game, so I think that's a positive you can take away. Now my worry is you're going to come into guys like Zoik, and you're going to come into guys like Roark, where you're going to need that bullpen, and you're going to need to use it a lot. So it's going to be interesting the rest of the way. You got to bank on winning these Ryu starts, and then hopefully the bullpen can hold up for most of the year. It'll be interesting. Good news is
is being like, is unfamiliarity from hitters, right? Is not, these guys haven't really seen what the Jays pitchers have to offer, especially that bullpen. We didn't really know what they are yet.
No.
So, let's hope that they continue surprising. Like, going up against the Yankees first series is a big deal, and I think that's going to gain a lot of confidence. If you can even take, you take the majority of these games here, you're coming out walking like McGregor. You're trotting out.
If you can win series against the Yankees, you're putting yourself in a good spot to compete to compete for that playoff spot, not just like the wild card spot, but for the division leader. Because like you can just kind of take every other series with everyone else and try and win some of them, try and win most of them, that type of attitude. But you're probably going to dominate Baltimore this year. I don't see the Rays as being that great this year. You could probably win against them. I don't see Boston competing with this year. So you're going to win most of those games. Now, if you can win the majority of the games against the Yankees, you've already set yourself up for a good spot in that division alone. It should be good. Good news of the day, Ross Atkins came out today and said that George Springer should be ready to go on April 8th when he's eligible to come off the IL. So that's good news. He won't be out too long. That's only, 5 games, I think, give or take. They have 5 until the 8th. So that's great. Good. It'll be great to have him in this lineup hitting leadoff where we apparently struggled yesterday. But that's all right. Do you have anything else on the Blue Jays you want to talk about? Anything stand out from you in that game?
I'm excited to see it, Defensively, they're there. Yeah.
I forgot how much I love fucking baseball, man.
Oh my gosh. To watch the plays and just to break it down too. I watched the highlights twice this morning just to watch through and just to see everything again. That's where I was able to go oh look, Garrett Cole threw it middle, and Teoscar just nuked it. Of course.
I found myself at 1:35, 1:40 in the morning watching the end of the A's Astros game that was already 8-1 and over, and I'm sitting there just watching Jed Lowry take meaningless at bats, and then flip over the Giants and Mariners walk, which was hilarious, by the way. And I'm just watching these random games because it's just I forgot how much I miss legitimate baseball and sitting there enjoying that. It's just so much fun, man.
It is fun to see. I definitely missed it.
Yeah, it's great. Love having it back. Other baseball news: Francisco Lindor. He signed for all the money in the world and for the rest of his life, give or take. It's a 10-year deal, pays him $341 million. Am I right? I didn't write the number down. 341, right?
You're right.
So $34.1 million a year. It makes him the third highest player in the league, I think, total salary, behind Mike Trout and who's the other one?
Sure. Cole, is it not? No? Or is it just talking players?
Just players in general. It was Mike Trout. Oh, Mookie Betts is the other one.
Right.
That's a lot of money for Francisco Lindor. I respect Francisco Lindor. I think he's a great player. He's a premier player in this league. I don't think he's worth $341 million, especially after the year he had last year. I think they might have signed this a little quick, depending on how he does this year. If he is kind of on that downswing that it looked like last year, you're paying $341 million for a guy that's elite defensively and just he's getting a little worse offensively. Am I wrong?
The intent was always, though, to sign him for long-term big money. That was it, and that's where I think the Jays always pumped the brakes on.
There was no way we could have done that.
No, they love deals in the 4 to 5 year range, and paying somebody, over 10 years, especially for that amount of money, you're right, it is absolutely ridiculous. You are not going to be worth all that money for 10 years. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
That's a 27-year-old kid that just signed that deal. He'll be 37 when that deal comes up. And you're paying him the third most money in the majors. Not AAV, but you're paying him the third most total. I would have loved to see him on the Jays for this year and be a rental. It wasn't worth giving up that for a rental, but would have been nice. But if you're the Blue Jays, you have Bo Bichette at short. You have Cavan, you have Groshans, you have Martin, who can all play in the infield. You really don't need to give up 10 years, $341 million to this guy, so it doesn't hurt me missing out on him. I don't think the Mets should have signed him to that much, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't know.
I think this is the first player for them in a while, outside of Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard, their
position player.
Yeah, absolutely. Their first position player. David Wright was their last mainstay.
Yeah,
and he did a lot, and they were close to a World Series, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they got in there with that Daniel Murphy year where he hit everything in the moon.
Right, absolutely. So they put a lot of money in this year. They've invested a lot of time in their team, and I think that, it wasn't really a conversation, I'm sure, with Francisco Lindor. Like, you're also, okay. I don't know what that was.
Apparently we have unlimited minutes. Cool.
Perfect. Cool. Unlimited time.
Thank you, Zoom.
Yeah. No, I think the Mets are just trying to build another, a big culture move right there.
Yeah.
And you're the New York Mets, man. Realistically, you're a New York team. That money is insignificant.
Yeah, they're not the Yankees, but they do want to spend with the new ownership and stuff. I get it.
And that's the thing, is that they are trying to move in that direction again. They're trying to compete, and you're in probably the most competitive division right now because the Marlins think that they're great. The Braves think they're great. The Nats are 2 years off their win.
Yeah.
And the Phillies have paid how much money? They're in the same situation, right?
So Phillies gave all that money to Bryce Harper too, so
you were in such a competitive division right now, that you need to make moves like that, right? That's your answer to Bryce Harper being in that division.
You could convince me that 4 teams in that division have a chance to win the division, realistically.
Right.
Like it's a stretch for Philly, I think, but I think they still have a chance. And then the Mets could do it, the Braves could do it, and the Nats could do it, and I wouldn't be that surprised. So they do need to compete, especially like being the number 2 team in New York. You need to do something to try and get yourself in this market and be successful again. And I get it. Bringing in Lindor and signing him for long term is a big move for New York. I just personally, I don't think it was worth that much. I think their offer to him was a lot closer than what he should have been getting. But you got to pay for big name players nowadays, and Francisco Lindor has been a big name player his entire career there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just realizing that they canceled the Washington game.
Yeah, against the whole series. The whole series got pushed back.
And it starts.
Yeah. So, my favorite story around the league. You got more? Or?
I'm just looking at their team, and it's very evident
they need help.
That they want to win now. Yeah, and he's I've heard so many things about him, like him being a really respected player amongst the league. So even if you go to free agency and you have him in your corner saying, here's why you want to come to New York, here's why you want to come play on the Mets, like that's not bad at all.
No.
Right? That could attract people right then and there. And,
that's a big name coming here that you kind of want. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. My favorite story in the league yesterday, I don't know if you caught the Dodgers game at all or what happened with Cody Bellinger.
Yep.
So Cody Bellinger hits a home run yesterday in the 3rd inning, I believe it was. Justin Turner's on first, and he takes the drive deep, and it goes off of Tapia, I forget his first name, goes off of his glove, or in his glove, and then he hits the wall, ball goes over. And I guess Justin Turner saw the ball go in his glove, so he decided he has to turn around and tag up. Meanwhile, the ball goes over the wall, and Cody Bellinger's sitting there like, yeah, I hit a home run. He's giving the motion and everything. And Cody Bellinger runs past Justin Turner on his way back to tag up. And by rule, Cody Bellinger is out for that play. So Cody Bellinger didn't hit a home run. He hit an RBI single, and it just got called an out after that. So that's tough for Cody Bellinger.
That's baseball. You got to love baseball. That's one
of
those rules
weird rule.
I thought that you'd see. Yeah.
No. So weird.
You've seen it close a couple times, I think, but that's the first time I've actually seen it. But I look back at that clip, man, and Turner was just head down like, oh, shit, I made a mistake, and not even looking at the fact that Bellinger is beside him.
I don't know who to blame here. I don't think there's blame to go around to anybody, but,
I think
you can't blame Turner, right?
You kind of can't, because here's the thing. If that ball goes in the air and that far, you don't have to be running that fast to the next base, right? You can kind of try.
But he was already rounded second, so he has to round second and go all the way to first.
Okay, but you've made the first mistake as the base runner that you were going to round second. Just if you think it's either going to be over the wall, which it looked very close to, or Tapia's then going to catch it, you shouldn't be running that fast in the first place.
Sure, but I mean, you're trying to get the extra bag if you can, right? I don't know. It's just I don't put a lot of blame into Turner because he saw it get caught and turned around and just started humming back. I put a little bit of blame into Cody Bellinger because, like, you got to have a little bit of awareness, but that guy seems like a bit of a space case most of the time.
Sprinting back to home plate the
no, but if you just hang out on first, if you see Justin Turner coming at you, just kind of run back towards first. Maybe I don't know. That's what I mean. You can't really blame someone because, like, what are you gonna do in that situation? But like, I feel like the ump might have made a mistake there because it seemed as though they called him out, and Cody Bellinger's like, no, that went out. But, like, as soon as they called him out, Turner hightails it back. So he's like, well, that guy's out. I got to try and make it back. And then they reverse the call almost. And they're like, oh, it actually went over the wall. So I think in that situation, if it becomes umpire error, I think you should just be like, oh, yeah, that's whatever. We screwed up. It's still a home run. But just a odd situation out of Los Angeles. Kind of fun. Even better watching them lose that game.
I know. It sets the tone. That was the first like score too, is you think it's a 2-run shot and now it's a 1-run RBI single. Not even was it a single.
It made it a 1-0 game too. Like, that was early. Would have changed the entire game.
But then the bottom of the third, I think they got 2 runs.
Yeah.
The Rockies did. So it was definitely funny though.
Yeah. Crazy, man. A little more important news. Sorry, you go.
Though, this doesn't look like the Dodgers are kind of just too chillaxed.
Yeah, I don't think they care. They just got to be good at the end of the year.
Yeah, like spring training, it was funny to watch Trevor Bauer, if you caught it, but Trevor Bauer and Jose Ramirez. Mm-hmm. So they had an at-bat. Like, Jose Ramirez came out to at-bat, and he was like, he had one eye closed, Trevor Bauer did, and he was telling him what pitch was coming and to strike him out because he said, absolutely. He was telling him, he goes, I'm going to tell you what pitch is coming, I'll still strike you out. And, like, that to me, I get it. You're trying to push yourself a little bit and you're trying to test how far you can go, but you're not going to do that in live games or in crunch situations. So take it a little more serious, for me.
I don't know. They're smart enough to know not to burn yourself out in April, May, because they've done that before and they blew it. So I think they're kind of playing it smart enough. I think you would have liked to seen a win on opening day, especially against the Mariners.
I don't know why you keep going to Kershaw. Like, is somebody injured?
I thought that was weird too. I was surprised they didn't go to Buehler.
I was going to say Walker Buehler.
I understand why you don't go with Bauer because, like, he's still a bit of a question mark and whether or not he can replicate what he did last year. But, like, Walker Buehler's been your guy, and I'm pretty sure he started opening day last year, if I'm not mistaken. He just seems like the guy to go to. It was kind of weird that I guess it's a respect move on Kershaw, so you can't really blame them for it. But
you think that's like a last season move then?
No, I think he's got time left. I think he'll just kind of rot away until he's like 40 something. He loves the game so much. I don't think so. Little more important news out of the MLB. They decided today that they are moving the 2021 All-Star Game out of Atlanta because of the recent voter suppression laws. Now, it is a 98-page change that they made. So I don't really know what the actual laws are. All I know is that it does not help people vote in the state of Georgia. And a lot of people are real pissed off about it. So the MLB, who had the All-Star Game and the draft scheduled to be in Atlanta this year, decided to take a stand against it, and a ton of respect for it. They're moving the All-Star Game out of Atlanta. They're moving the draft out of Atlanta. And they're kind of just taking a stand against, like, this ridiculous thing that's happening down there. This kind of goes against, like, the top of the podcast where we talked about how they've actually done some positive things, and then they just do shit like this where it goes completely negative. But yeah, a ton of respect for them. I don't think we know enough to talk about it personally. Like, it's obviously not our country. We don't really know too much about the voter laws in other countries. So I just know it's not going well right now for Georgia. And I have a ton of respect for this is the first time in a while I've had a ton of respect for the MLB for doing something like this and actually taking a stand against it. Good for them. Respect. That's pretty much it for me in the MLB. You got anything cool? Oh, that Miguel Cabrera home run in the snow.
Oh my God, I loved it.
That's the coolest scene I think I've ever witnessed in a baseball game. It's crazy.
I hope that they put that at the beginning of at least the next show game. I'd put it at the beginning of 21. Yeah. I'd love this.
Give me the option of playing the snow for a game. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
The video clip of, like, the slow-mo home run and then the trot.
Doesn't he slide into second or something? Because he hit home run and he got
couldn't see the ball. No idea where it was. It created one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. And it's really cool that it was Miggy, because Miggy's just like, he's not really what he was, obviously. But
his swing looked effortless, and he still
so nice.
does that. Like, it pops off the bat. You know, he puts the barrel to it, and that's it.
You still can't make a mistake to Miguel Cabrera. It's still going to leave the yard, and he proved that last night. It's cool. It was really cool. I enjoyed that shot. That was pretty much it, though. I don't think.
I think even Didi's catch over his shoulder,
disgusting.
My goodness,
could go down as catch of the year already. Fernando Tatis had a really nice slide too that I saw a video of. Same idea as the fucking swim move that he always does. Slid back in. Crazy. That kid's talented as hell. It's gonna be fun. More baseball tonight. We're gonna watch J-Start back up again tomorrow. So we'll have a hell of a lot more to talk about next week when we get back into this. But yeah, that's pretty much it for baseball. On to hockey, we don't have good news. We have bad news and bad news only, pretty much all the way down the whole thing here. First and foremost, Vancouver has COVID. Pretty much the whole team. There's 8 players now, 1 coach.
Just keeps going up.
Yep. So their games are canceled until the 6th, I believe they said. And yeah, that's not good if you're Vancouver, because they're in that race right now and they needed some wins and they were getting hot just in time. Not great. Adam Gaudette got it first, which it's whatever. I don't know how you catch it. I don't think you're playing it too safe if you end up getting it, but whatever. The dumbest part of that situation. Sorry, go ahead.
If you've listened to Fred VanVleet, and when he said he got it, like, he really didn't know, but you don't know where it's from, and that's the thing. Is like he went on the ice. There was no positive test yet, and then they pulled him out. Right? Like, how is it that Justin Turner runs out to the field?
Well, he was positive.
Inconclusive test, but then it was inconclusive at first, and then in the third they were like, "Ooh, this is kind of bad." And then on the 6th or 7th they were like, "No, it's positive. Get out."
Yeah.
You know, it's obviously a flawed system, so there's gonna be cases like this. But yeah, Vancouver is done, and
so
that pushes the playoffs back.
The worst part about that for me, I don't think so. It shouldn't. They should have enough time to fix it. But
I keep saying that it does.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that it does. I'm pretty sure they've already said that it's a delay because of it, because of all these games.
They have a good chunk of time off somewhere here because they already have 6 games in hand on like everybody. So I feel like they could just fill in games in that week off that they have. The weirdest thing about the whole situation for me is, like, so Gaudette tests positive, and then the next day, like, nobody had tested positive yet, but they practiced before getting the results of the contact tracing or getting any of that stuff, and they just, like, they didn't really know who else had it or if anyone else had it, and they still went out there and did their practice. And I think that's where they made the biggest mistake, is, like, there's the strong chance that a couple guys were actually positive in that group, and they ran them out with the rest of their team. And I think you have no one to blame but yourself if you're Vancouver.
100% chance.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Yeah. Obviously there is, because there's now 8 players. So
exactly, yeah, it's bad.
Just boneheaded move by Vancouver, and a boneheaded organization for the most part. They'd make a lot of mistakes. Yeah, enough of that. The Leafs, big win against Winnipeg last 2 nights ago. Great game. Austin Matthews scored an actual goal again. He's now 2 goals clear of Connor McDavid for the league lead.
He's back.
He's
just
back.
Saying that.
He looks healthy again. It's nice.
And, like, dude, the way that he moves around the ice, he looks not afraid of anybody. Like, give me that puck.
Yep.
That's his puck.
Yep.
Somebody wrote AM on that thing at the beginning of the game and put it on the ice, and he's going to grab it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely. There's no goalie that's going to be able to stop what he's got.
No, the guy's a monster. It's great. Look good. Jack Campbell is now 7-0 to start the season. I'm pretty sure it's up there in the franchise record for most starts without a loss to start the season. Hopefully continue that tonight. Who knows?
Do you think, though, that this still works without Freddie and with Jack Campbell? If you go forward, so you being a Leaf, like, you're about to roll into playoffs.
Right.
And Jack Campbell's playing this hot, then why
you roll
is he
with Jack, I think. Like, you roll with Jack until he falls apart.
When you look down at this team and you say, we are going to the Final Four, we're going to the Cup, we're going to win the Cup, does that name first on it say Jack Campbell? Like, are you confident enough that he is going to be the one to get you all the way there? Because I think that if you lose Freddie's momentum, he won't be there. You know that Freddie does not just come in and, like, steal opportunities. We've seen
I don't know, man. I think you roll with Jack Campbell until Jack Campbell is no longer good, and that's when you make the switch. I think this is a limited time thing for Jack Campbell. I don't think this is what Jack Campbell is, but he's on a hell of a run right now, and you just ride that until you can't anymore. And eventually, I think it happens. And at that point, hopefully Freddie's 100% healthy, and you can throw him back in, and hopefully it's not game one of the playoffs, so that he can get a little bit under his belt before he gets into the playoff situation. Or maybe Jack Campbell just rides this run until the fucking third round of the playoffs and just keeps you going. Who cares? Doesn't really mean much to me. Yes, you don't like having $5 million Frederik Andersen sit on the bench, but if Jack's the guy that gets it done, then Jack's the guy that gets it done. Who cares?
You know what, though? That, to me, is probably the easiest situation then, that you go to the offseason and say, hey, Freddie, here's what we want to pay you, and here's why, because he didn't play. So if some team then wants to offer more money, for sure they can, but they're going to be taking a way bigger gamble because Frederik Andersen hasn't played since whatever date it was. Right? Yeah. So it's almost better. The less he plays, the more likelihood that he comes back for cheaper. Not cheaper than what he is now, but cheaper than you were going to get him for. Fair money, right? And that's exactly what you want because you still believe in him. It's not like you've lost faith in him. It's just we don't have the cap space as an organization to bring you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
right? I think that's what it's impossible to justify bringing that goalie back, especially when Jack Campbell's having the year that he's having.
If Jack rides this out until the Stanley Cup Finals, you don't bring Freddie. There's no need to have Freddie here because Jack just showed you he can get it done. Even if Jack rides it through to the second, third round, you're like, well, this guy did it, so what do we need you for? I get it. I'm still not fully on the Jack Campbell to start for this team train, but I am on the train of let's ride this kid until he can't do it anymore, personally. Leafs played tonight against Winnipeg.
Absolutely, and that's the mentality.
Yep. Leafs are back against Winnipeg tonight. They are currently 3 points clear of them for first place and 4 of Edmonton, I believe. It's another big game. They got 1 game in hand on Winnipeg. So if you win this, you're getting pretty clear of first again, and they're starting to look like the team they should be. So it's a big one for them tonight, just to get a little bit of clearance in that North Division. Speaking of the North Division, the best player in it threw a dirty hit. I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. Do you think it was suspendable?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I definitely do because if you watch the clip, the puck is gone for longer than what's appropriate amount of time. He takes that extra stride to chase him down, and you throw elbow first, right? Like, and I'm going to compare
whether it hits or not. He did throw the elbow up first.
Okay, so there's obviously Chandler Stevenson got suspended 3 games.
Yep.
No, both of them do not have any prior instances of suspension or anything of this nature.
Nope.
But
one is named Connor McDavid. One is
exactly, and that's what I'm going to say, is that one of them is named Connor McDavid, where if that was Chandler Stevenson taking that extra stride to throw his elbow up, that's a 3-game suspension as well.
Even more fun, if that guy's named Tom Wilson, you're looking at like an 8 to 10.
Oh my God! If his name was Rafi Torres, that's it. That would be his career.
Like I don't think it was that vicious, but like it's the name that I think kept him out of getting a suspension because it's a frustration play where he comes across the ice, does not need to throw that hit, throws the elbow up, and the principal point of contact wasn't the head, he still throws the elbow to the head, and it was an ugly looking play that doesn't need to happen in hockey.
Why are we saying that it's not vicious? Because the end result wasn't a vicious result. If he knocks that guy, so even if McDavid throws the elbow up, knocks that guy off balance, and he hits the ice, that's not that guy's fault. That's still McDavid's fault. Whether the elbow knocked him out or not, whether the ice did it, it was still caused by him. And that's something you don't want to see from a player like that, especially a player who, as soon as he hits the ice, all eyes are on him.
Yep.
All of the eyes are on you, man. Yep. You set the tone for what the hockey players of today and tomorrow are going to do.
Now,
I get it. You're frustrated. I get it. You're on a bit of a slide right now. You guys are on a bit of an uncertainty of where you're going.
And they were playing like shit in that game. They were getting slapped around like it was nothing. And I get where the frustration comes from, but you can't do that. Now, the next night, the other best player in the league went out and did something kind of pretty stupid himself in taking off. Who was it? It was I don't even remember. Oh, Connor Garland. Took off Connor Garland's helmet from his head and then, like, tossed it at him, hit him in the head, or to hit him in, like, the lower chin chest area. Now, realistically, that's probably a suspension.
Doesn't matter.
Like, that's something that's very not hockey related.
Doesn't matter.
Because you didn't suspend McDavid for something worse the night before, I think that's exactly why Nate MacKinnon didn't get anything more than the exact same fine.
But you get $5,000 for both. You're telling me those are identical plays to each other? That him taking off, so he has his helmet in his hand, and he could throw it to the ground for sure. He could throw it away.
Sure.
Instead, he says, "You know what? I'm going to throw it at you because I'm Nate MacKinnon and I'm just that G. I don't care."
Nate Dogg.
I loved it.
It was hilarious. I obviously am a big Nate fan, and I love watching it. It's just really funny that those two plays happened back-to-back nights, and it's just like, they just wanted to get a little into the physical side of things. It was great. It was fun to see.
This is not about that boiling over point, though, that I was talking about. This is that you're starting to see some frustration really kick in, which I love.
Yep. I think that's it out of hockey. I got nothing left. Oh, Dubinsky had some stupid comments about Sid today. I don't have much to say about it other than he's an idiot. Yeah, and he said that he'd rather take Ovechkin over Sid. It's like, you know what? We're all entitled to bad opinions. I've had mine. You're allowed to have yours, but don't kid yourself. That's such a stupid opinion. NBA, we briefly talk about it from time to time. The Raptors are reeling hard. They're not good. We've mentioned a couple times that there's a chance they turn the season around. They're not as bad as they were. They might be as bad as they were. Obviously, COVID hit them. Sure. Obviously, it doesn't help that they're playing in Tampa. Do you think this team can still turn it around next year with a nice offseason, though?
I don't know. It's incredibly hard to draw free agents in when you don't know where you're going to be playing and where you don't know what the current situation is. It's already tough enough bringing them into Toronto and convincing them that, hey, Toronto and coming over the border is exactly where you want to be, right? Now it's going to be harder to say, hey, we don't know if we're going to be in Toronto. We don't know exactly.
You're assuming by this time next year you're in Toronto because, like, things should be cleared up by, like, August or September, realistically, like, vaccine-wise. So,
unfortunately as well, though, Siakam, Van Vliet, and Anunoby have not made enough of a name for themselves for the bigger name free agents to go, I want to play with those guys, and those are going to be the three to bring us to a championship, right?
Yeah, but
there's a lot of uncertainty with it.
There's one name out there that I'm looking at, and he's been here before, and he led us to a championship before, and he could opt out at the end of the year, and he likely will opt out at the end of the year. If you can bring in Kawhi Leonard again, there's no reason this team can't be back to where it was last season. Maybe not the championship caliber team, but
Kawhi Leonard will not be going anywhere other than to an LA Clippers team because he will be winning a championship with them this year.
No chance. No chance. What do you mean? Come out of this one.
These teams are just grabbing.
Nobody is beating the Brooklyn All-Stars.
Blake Griffin was not leading them to a championship.
No,
I'm sorry, they have great individual
Kyrie, but KD, and Harden might, on top of having everybody else behind them.
No, they will not. Kawhi is going to defense his way into another championship.
It's the exact same team that they had last year that looked like absolute shit in the playoffs.
It is not the exact same team that they had last year.
Team.
No.
It's the same team. The core of it's the exact same.
Rajon Rondo, Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, who's a bench piece on the Raptors that lost to the Celtics.
Okay, they just got DeMarcus Cousins, who has had an okay season right now.
Who has not been good in 5 years.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, though, that they are not going to get.
They're just not that. They're not good enough to take on the Nets.
Will not be them. Yes, they.
I wouldn't even. Okay. Let me see. Who's on the. They're currently sitting in third in their own conference.
I get that. That's because Utah.
They're just ahead of the Lakers, and the Lakers have been missing LeBron for the past 3 weeks. Denver's still good. They showed they can beat them in the playoffs.
You don't need to have a perfect record in the regular season. You know, the Warriors showed us that having all those wins in the regular season doesn't mean you're going to get the championship in the end.
Sure. But I don't know, man. They're
going to position themselves to get a good position. Do you think that, honestly, with the Clippers going up right now, if they were to go to the playoffs, they play the Trailblazers? So you think the Trailblazers ponying up on Norm Powell is going to take over the Clippers?
No.
And then what? Let's say
so they win round one. Okay.
But the Nuggets and the Lakers have to play each other.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's say one of them comes through. The Suns. You're going to tell me the Suns are
either the Lakers or the Nuggets over the Clippers, especially after what I saw last year. The Clippers could not handle Jamal Murray.
Dude, the Clippers are way stronger now. They are way more educated now.
I don't think they're.
Kawhi Leonard is a top 3 playoff performer. Sure. And you're not going to convince me otherwise.
Jamal Murray's top 2.
No, he's not.
Bubble Jamal Murray, top 1. That guy was elite last year. He was unreal last year.
AD
I'm
was
obviously exaggerating that a bit, but I don't know, man. I don't have enough faith in the Clippers that they're going to come out of this, let alone try and beat the Nets, who are going to cruise into the fucking finals. Like, who takes more than 2 games off of the Nets in the East?
But do you honestly think that it's a cruise in to the Nets, especially with the Bucks, who think that but the Bucks match up.
The Bucks suck. The Bucks are terrible in the playoffs, man. When have they been good?
Okay, in the playoffs, they still have the pedigree
built to be a playoff team. They never have been.
Dude, Brooklyn is just their first year together. Okay, you know what this reminds me of? Yeah. When Miami strung all the boys together, came in and said, "We're gonna do this. Let's all do this together." Even when Golden State strung every boy together, they didn't win everyone in a row.
No, but I don't know. I just think it's gonna be tough. I just don't have faith in the Clippers to just beat through the.
You think that what James Harden is going to just lock it down in the playoffs?
No.
You think that Kyrie Irving is going to start with them playing defense in the playoffs? Like, they're not going to be able to outscore.
You don't need to play defense when you're scoring a gajillion points a night.
Dude, Miami is not a joke of a team, and they show that. They are okay. The Raptors, when they went to the finals, defense was first and foremost. Miami looks incredibly the same. Where they are going to just grind you until you want to give up, and they're just going to keep going and keep pushing. And they got Oladipo, which I think is an underrated move. The fact that people have counted him out already is shocking to me.
They also have a negative point differential, which I think is.
I understand what they have. I didn't say that but they're opportunists. They showed it last year.
Yeah, I think they have a chance. I just don't see anyone taking down Brooklyn in the East, and I sure as hell don't see anyone. I don't see the Clippers beating them out of the West. I think the Lakers, because they have LeBron and AD come playoff time, I think that makes a difference.
Oh, AD?
I just don't know.
I think if you have healthy AD, it's unreal.
Yeah,
healthy AD, and especially last year. When I watched the finals, man, I was more impressed with Anthony Davis's play than LeBron James, because AD was able to hit all the shots from anywhere on the court.
That's what I mean. It's a tough road for LA and not so tough for Brooklyn. Like, Brooklyn's realistically got to face Miami would be a tough contest, and I think Philly would be a tough contest this year. But I still don't see Philly built that well in the playoffs. It's just an easier run. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Philly not making any more moves to get a point guard. You need a legitimate point guard. I'm sorry to say. Yep. As long as you have Ben Simmons there, like, he needs to slide over somewhere. Like, I would slide into where his size fits better.
Yeah, I agree completely.
You don't need to lose. You don't need to give him up. You just don't need to let him run the point, because when he runs the point, there's no 3-point opportunity.
Exactly. I think that's it. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty smooth.
Seems like a pretty short one this week. We'll be back beginning of next week. Don't forget to follow us.
There was not a lot of sports.
Not a lot of news considering baseball started. I just got so excited about
the trade deadline. To me, has been a little meh. Basketballs came and went.
As we expected.
Hockey is just kind of
as we expected, realistically.
I'm looking at the moves. Like Blackhawks made a move for Vinny Hinostroza, but it's like, okay.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm picturing whoop-de-doo Basil.
I feel like we're gonna end off this episode, and then there's gonna be like 19 different storylines that hit at the end of this. Just happens pretty often with us.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but a lot of people are humming around the Taylor Hall trade to the Maple Leaf market, and what percentage, I guess, would you be on board for, and what are you willing to give up, I guess?
My percentage is climbing slowly.
Okay.
And I know they want a first, and I think I'd be okay with this year's first for them. Now, past that first, I wouldn't go too much further. I'm not giving up. If I'm giving you the first, I'm not giving you Sandin, Liljegren, Robertson, or Amirov. Though they're untouchable if you want our first. Now you get into that second tier of prospects, and I take a look at it. I don't know if I'd be that interested in a rental with the first and premier prospects. But the first round pick, you can have it for all I care. If you want nothing else, if you're just first round pick for Taylor Hall, you can have that first round pick for Taylor Hall. It's when you get into the plus situation that I'm not interested in. But I think he'd fit well on this team. He can play offense really well.
He apparently has one of the best breakouts in the league. Like his ability to move the puck into the offensive zone.
His analytics are great outside of finishing. You just can't finish.
Yeah, but that to me is worrisome because you already have guys that can finish, and you already have guys that can kind of, everyone's kind of paired off. Where does he fit? Is he going to fit?
I think he fits
away from William Nylander.
Well, no, I think he fits into that Nylander line. I think he fits better than. I mean, I like Gouch. I think Gouch has been great on that line, but I think he's a cooler fit for that second line than Gouch. Honestly,
yeah, absolutely. Gouch is just a really hard-working player, and that's what they need. He fits. He less about the skill. He's almost like a more skilled Zach Hyman, where he's gonna just keep moving his feet and get himself into scoring positions. He's not finishing as much as he was supposed to, but he's still getting opportunities because he's quick.
He's a more skilled, less bulldoggy Zach Hyman. Like he'll grind hard, but he can actually do something with the puck if he has it. Yeah, I think that's it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the BnB pod _ on TikTok at the BnB podcast. We have fun there. Like, comment, subscribe, all that's below. Check us out at theasports.com. It's where you can find some nice merch and all sorts of other content. It's all down there. Everything's going to be linked in the description below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you.
We're also hoping in the next couple of weeks, maybe, getting a little surprise guest. Hopefully, we'll see.
We are working on some things actually. So
we're gonna teaser that. We're gonna talk to some people. We're gonna set up some stuff for them. So
we're gonna try. We're gonna try.
For all you Blue Jay fans out there, just
a little sprinkle, just for fun.
A little sprinkle, a little teaser.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one. Cheers.